The streak was finally ended in Portimao after a historic run of 8 different winners in a row was finally brought to an end by Xabi Zurutuza as he went back-to-back to take control at the top of the Hawkers European Talent Cup standings. With just a race victory separating the top 4 in the championship, and with 2 races coming up today, don't be surprised if we see yet another shuffle at the top in our 2 14-lap encounters. Good morning and welcome back to Motorland Aragon. In this Spanish desert, as we can call it, the picturesque Aragon. Just look at that, blue skies everywhere you look, the sun beating down on us here in northeastern Spain. It's Jack Appleyard and Lewis Sotheby in the commentary box to bring you the first of 2 Hawkers European Talent Cup races. Coming up today, where it's the championship leader, Xabi Zurutuza, the man that's won the previous 2 races in Barcelona and Portimao, that starts from pole position.
Absolutely, and it's the championship battle that's going to take centre stage in this race too, because they are together on the front row, the 2 leading championship contenders. This is what happened last time out at Portimao, where the championship lead did change hands. Angel Piquera starting from a maiden pole position, although he couldn't quite convert that in the end into a strong result. His teammates took up the battle at the front, including Brian Uriarte, who would go on to take a welcome podium finish. Plenty of chaos further back with 1 or 2 incidents, particularly at turn 5 being a hot spot of action there. But no, it was a fantastic race, and in the end it was Zurutuza who took control of the race. It looked at one stage as if he'd broken the pack and broken clear for a fairly comfortable victory before they all came back at him on the last lap. Adrian Cruces was also getting in amongst it. He would end up finishing on the podium even if he didn't stand up there, because there was a post-race video photo review for third place, as you'll see, as they went side by side across the line. Martinez and Cruces split by just 0.06 of a second on the timing screens, but it was actually on the photograph Cruces that got it. Zurutuza was the winner ahead of Brian Uriarte, which saw him take the championship lead from Hugo Milan, who could only manage 6th. The pit lane will open in 1.25 minutes from now. So, of course, it's very important that these teams are ready and that they're straight out of pit lane, because all it takes at this point of the proceedings is a problem getting your bike started, some sort of issue in pit lane, and if you lose a minute, your race is essentially destroyed from there, because you're going to have to start the warm lap from pit lane.
There's the former 125 world champion Nico Terol, team manager of the junior Aspar squad, just offering a quick word before both Paul Sola and Dodo Boggio head back out on track. Here's the Cardoso Racing concern as well. This is David Almanza, who, as we mentioned earlier on, will have a long lap penalty to take. Incidentally, another of the junior squads that we see in not only the European Talent Cup, but also the Junior World Championship, the MT Foundation 77 concern. 2 riders in this one, both of them on the front 3 rows of the grid, both of them highly experienced as well in Alberto Ferrandez and Alvaro Carpe. The pair of them at the start of the year signed 3-year deals with the 77 Foundation squad, with the hope of both of them to move through into the Junior World Championship next year. So a pair of talented Spaniards that we'll see on the Junior World Championship grid in the near future after signing long-term deals with the 77 Foundation squad. A few issues here is that this is exactly what we mentioned.
Pit lane is open.
It's exactly what we mentioned. He eventually gets it going, a shake of the head. I think that is the number 4. The brother of Oleg Powerledge, yes. Yeah, that is Milan Powerledge, again a Pole, the younger brother of Oleg, who won't be able to make the restart. Shake of the head, but they did get the bike going, and they have managed to get themselves down pit lane. So 30 seconds to go before pit lane slams shut, and out roll the talent team, Estrella Galicia Monlau squad machines, all 4 of them. Better late than never, lads. And it looks as though, just looking down pit lane to the left of our commentary position, there are no hands waving, there's no real panic, I don't think. It looks as though all 36 riders that will be taking part in this restart have managed to make their way out of pit lane. We will have a 36 rider grid ready to fight it out over 9 laps. Pit lane closed, the red flag has waved at the bottom of pit lane. and there's nobody struggling. So that's good to see. Everybody's out. We're ready to get underway. And with the European Talent Cup normally being frantic over 14 laps, I'm holding my breath for a 9-lap sprint.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a bit hairy, this one. We always say in these kind of races that it's very difficult for anyone to break away from the pack. We always expect a pack race. Well, there's not a lot of time to do that, even if someone has the pace to do it in this race. So, yeah, it's going to be no holds barred, gloves off right from the start. As they come round onto the back straight now, which is where a lot of the drama is likely to happen, and it's probably where the race is going to be won and lost in this race. It's over this 1 kilometre strip of tarmac down to turn 16 and 17, which of course, as we mentioned earlier on, is a double apex left-hander where you can take a variety of lines through there. You can maybe try and get the move done on the first part of it, but leave yourself exposed for a move on the exit. And we saw particularly in the Moto3 Tuning World Championship race, and indeed in 1 or 2 of the Moto2 races when we came here last year, that the exit from the final corner is more important really than the entry, because you can get the drive up over the crest and over the finish line, and the finish line is very, very close to the final corner here. It's much more the beginning of the straight and at the end of it. So if you get out of that final corner with the momentum and get ahead on the run to the line, then it's crucial in this kind of race. You know, you're not going to be able to slipstream someone out of the final corner here.
So quick restart procedure, as Sudders has told you already. Just one man from the team able to meet them in pole position in the case of Xabi Zurutuza. And of course there is a gap in the middle of the front row of the grid where Hugo Milan was. So it will be just a two-man front row of the grid with Zurutuza and Sal Mella starting first and third. Can the Finn blast his way through to the hole shot for the second time of asking? The marshal waves all of the personnel off. The safety car rolls in front of us to take its spot at the back of the grid. Alberto Ferrandez eyes the lights ahead of him. And we're about ready to get underway. 9 laps, a sprint race in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Zurutuza will once again start from pole position as we go ahead for the warm-up lap. I was getting a bit carried away there, wasn't I?
I was thinking, yeah, I was trying to work out the rules. I was thinking, I'm sure they have a warm lap as well as a sighting lap before they get going. But yeah, so they'll essentially have done 11 laps of Moto2 and Aragon by the time they all come back at the end of the race. And yeah, the start once again is going to be all important. It's more important in this race given that we have such a shorter distance, and it's going to be interesting because, as we've mentioned already, Sal Mella got such a great launch up the inside into turn 1. All right, he didn't lead for very long, but he got such a launch that he's going to be very, very difficult to beat into turn 1 here. It's also, when you look at the likes of Cruces, who's back on row 3, of course, he was very, very strong in the early stages of the race. He managed to make up a lot of ground and basically repair all the damage from a slightly iffy qualifying. He's got all that work to do again. Of course, one less rider ahead of him, although he starts from 7th on the grid. He's essentially the 6th rider in line. But he's going to have all that work to do again, so it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on. And we've touched on it already. The first corner here is very, very tight. It's almost designed for chaos because it really does funnel the riders through. It's a very tight left-hander where if you're up the inside, you can very much find your nose being jumped off up the inside into there. It's not really the place you want to be. You want to be on the outside, ideally, around there, but anything can happen in a race like this. And with 9 laps ahead of us, the riders will be even keener than normal to try and get that good launch and get themselves into a good position early. So just a reminder of the championship picture then heading into this one. Zurutuza, the poleman, is the title leader. As you can see there, 94 points to his name. Milan, unfortunately, won't be part of this restart after being involved in that red flag incident in the first go. 8 points adrift, so he will remain on 86 at the conclusion of today's 2 races. Cruces sits there 17 points adrift, and Max Martinez is still within a race win of the title leader Zurutuza in 4th. Further back, Uriarte, he's 31 adrift in 5th. Esteban, 38 adrift in 6th, with Alvaro Carpe, 40 points adrift in 7th. His teammate Ferrandez only 41 adrift. So we've still a number of races to go in this championship. Anybody inside that top 8 in the series can really stake a claim for the title, just like Zonta van den Gorberg did this time last year. A hat-trick of victories for him saw him close in on David Alonso in the title chase. In the end, it wasn't enough with the Colombian taking the crown, but there's certainly going to be
some title changes here and there throughout the day. I think
yeah, we had a rider, I think, on the 6th row of the grid. I think it was, I think it was might have been Rulestone or someone around that area who had to reverse his bike back into position, but he's all okay.
So here we go then, 9 laps ahead of us in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Zurutuza once again fires from pole position. Can the Finn Salmela on the outside of the front row get another hold shot? It looks as though the pocket rocket has done it again. The 27 on the inside will swoop through and take the hold shot at the second time of asking.
There's contact further back. Joel Esteban made contact, and there's contact now further back as well. The exit turn one. We told you this first corner can cause trouble in the midfield. Thankfully, it appears that all riders involved are okay and up on their feet, and they'll have to clear those bikes away quickly. But it is the 27 of Salmela who's got the lead, but it didn't last very long. Zurutuza, much like he did in the first start, we've already had the dress rehearsal, and he's done it again, straight back through. Yeah, he did it there at turn 4 last time around, and he's done it again. Zurutuza squeezes through as we've got another whole host of riders. What's that? 5 down. Further on the lap, we've already had 3 down at the opening corner. It could be 6 riders, in fact, down. We'll get a full run through of exactly who's gone down on this opening lap here, because it's... Torrin Collins was definitely one of them. I saw the 17 there, but as you mentioned, there were a few riders involved in that. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's going to be easier, I think, to work out who hasn't come round at the end of this first lap than who has at the moment. But Zurutuza, much as he did earlier on, he's just keeping his head down and doing his own thing. And of course, with Milan out of the race, it's a big opportunity for him. Cruces has made progress once again. He's up in 4th position. He's pretty easy to spot. He's got the plain white crash helmet in 4th position, and you can see whereabouts in the paddock that incident was, because there is a huge split in the field from around, it's difficult to say, I think there's around a dozen riders maybe who are away at the front, and then there's a huge gap behind. Well, just quickly, I'll run you through as we come down the back straight exactly who crashed out on that opening lap. We've got Esteban out, Perez, Alcina, Pini, Perea, who else? Torrin Collins, as you rightly said. Sherill's gone down, as has Christian Daniel Jr., the young American as well, most notably out of that. Esteban is the man who sits 6th in the championship as we fire our way into the final corner for the first time of asking out of 9, and it's still Zurutuza that leads the way. Martinez getting up the inside as well. He took that tight line into turn 16, trying to get the inside, and it's led into 4th position as they go across the line. Zurutuza leads it. Uriarte, Cruces and Martinez next up. Salmela got shuffled back down to 5th. Piqueras there having a look at the inside as well. He's just behind Ferrandez and Carpe, who of course impressed us here last year. And we do, as I look at the timing screen, to have 14 riders who were the right side of that incident, with 3 seconds back to Mihaila, who leads the second group in 15th backwards. Here we go then as we flick left for the second time of asking. Uriarte is looking strong here. He's going to have a quick look up the inside, no way through there into turn 5 for the young Spaniard, and then go right for turn 6 with Zurutuza still leading the way. That's where we had our incident earlier on, and as a result, the diminished adhesion flag still out there as well. Max Martinez in 3rd, having a big look up the inside, but no way through there. A bit of a mistake. Yep, Zurutuza runs wide in. Concertina effect means everyone sits up in the pack, but no one able to make the way through as the 2 MT Foundation bikes. The bright orange of both Ferrandez and Carpe were looking fairly racy there, looking through on the inside of the guys in front of them as we go down the reverse corkscrew. Now, David Almanza's in this group. He's just set the fastest first sector of the race so far. He will have to serve a long lap penalty, remember, very early on in this race. It's not flashed up on our timing screens yet, as Zurutuza gets eased wide, not just losing the lead, but he's going to lose a lot more than that, and that move for the lead that we saw there ended up costing both riders. Yeah, because now it's Max Martinez that leads the way, with Adrian Cruces moving up from 4th to 2nd. We've had one of the MT Foundation bikes pull through to 4th as well. Who's that? I think it's Ferrandez. It is the 54. Alberto Ferrandez comes through, so the big loser in that one is Zurutuza, shuffled back from 1st to 6th as they went through turn 12. 2 riders who we mentioned earlier on have long lap penalties can now serve it. It has now flashed up on our timing screens, and as they come across the line, the pit board will be hang out to them to let them know they can serve it. Zurutuza are now trying to make up ground on the inside of the final corner as he tries to pick his way back through. He doesn't have to rush too much. Just 7 laps is a long time in a race like this, so he doesn't have to panic just yet. He's 4th in line, which will give him a pretty nice slingshot here down the main straight as they cross the line. And he's going to go all the way up to, well, he's going to go up to 3rd. He threatened to go got the inside into the lead. But as it is, it's the 10 of Cruces who does lead. Almanza, fastest rider on track, but of course he'll be coming into the long lap penalty lane very, very shortly.
He's got 3 laps to take that, has David Almanza, and of course with 7 laps remaining, it is going to cost him dearly. You can see just in the back of the picture, there he is, the number 22 there, 9th at the moment, but that will surely drop him to the back of this leading group, a leading group of around 13 at the moment. Gavin Plonks, the number 14 in the back of your picture there, just losing touch with this leading group.
Zurutuza is so aggressive into turn 4. He went straight to the inside of, I think, a couple of riders. This is the incident at the start of the race at turn 1. Esteban Perez and Pini 3 involved, but as you can see, there were plenty others who were involved but managed to stay upright and just lost a lot of time. And I mentioned at the start, Esteban made contact with someone before they even arrived at turn 1. He was banging elbows with someone as they were trying to jockey around for positions at turn 1, and then he didn't make it much further than that. But Zurutuza's regrouped a little bit. He's back up into 2nd place now, and now he's going to have a look at the inside of Martinez, who takes that wide line, but it's just left the door wide open for Zurutuza to regain the lead.
And 1 lap on from being, or 2 laps on, sorry, from being pushed wide there by Uriarte. Zurutuza hasn't taken long to find himself back up at the front of this race. Here's what's happened further down on the opening lap. Look at that.
I think it was separate incidents, wasn't it?
It was. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders all going down. A couple more caught up in it as well.
And I did worry whether the cement dust that we had on track was going to be an issue, but they hadn't even reached that point, really, had they, by the time that incident happened. Martinez has gone back in front now of Zurutuza, who now has a look at the inside, but this is just going to, you know, to and fro around. It's going to keep chopping and changing as we go through the remaining 6 laps that we have to go. But it looks at the moment as if we have a leading group as we come across the line, which is completed by the 95 of Morelli of 13 riders that make up this leading group, as we see Uriarte trying to stick his nose up the inside of turn 1. That's not really where you want to be, I don't think.
It looks as though this top 6 has just got an edge on everyone else at the moment. Zurutuza, as he hits the front once more, fastest lap of the race. That top 6 of Carpe, Ferrandez, Uriarte, Cruces, Zurutuza and Martinez just edging ever so slightly clear, with maybe Almanza there in 7th at the moment as we see a move for 2nd place. It's a Cuna de Campeones 1-2 now, with Cruces edging his way ahead of Max Martinez, but Martinez will look for a response instantaneously. Can he find his way up the inside? No way through there. It remains Cruces in 2nd.
So many of these corners, we see it there, we see it at turn 12, we see it at the final corner, and indeed at turn 1, they just entice you to make a move, even though the racing line is obviously faster. Here goes Almanza then into the long lap penalty lane, and let's see how much time he loses. It carries on longer than you think, right the way around the outside of turn 10, and then you rejoin, and he's just at the back of the group, so he's going to be able to tag on over to the back of Morelli, who is the 13th, well, he was the 13th, he'll now be the 12th rider in this train. It's not all lost to him just yet, but he's going to have to get his head down.
He's certainly got time here as Almanza, 6 or 5.5 laps remaining. Once he's back onto the lead group, you can see just in the back of the picture, maybe it's a long way off as we see him move further down. That's Uriarte diving through into turn 14 to take 4th ahead of Ferrandez, who had momentarily moved himself up to 4th. Still Zurutuza leading the way then, with Cruces, his teammate, tucked in behind him. You can barely see the number 10. I think he's going to pop out shortly. It's Martinez that goes first, and you can see Cruces just opening out his legs there, both of his knees on show, just to slow him down. Already games at play. 5 laps are going to be remaining shortly, and he's happy just to sit there in 2nd, is Cruces.
Got to say, Almanza did a great job through that long lap loop. When we're looking at his sector times, comparing him against the leaders through that sector, he only lost just over 2 seconds to the leading group. Of course, that's a lot in this field. Zurutuza just hangs on, but this is going to bottle up, and this is just going to bring Almanza right back into it. As we see the fastest lap there is set by Pavelek in 9th position. He's in the 2:01s. But it's going to be interesting on this next lap to see if Almanza can get his head down. If these guys continue to jockey around, if he can just latch himself right back onto the leading group again, which, as I mentioned, is over a dozen riders. Zurutuza has the lead at the moment. He'll be trying to get his head down and try and settle things down, but the riders behind him just won't let him do that.
Tell you what, this is some performance coming in from the young Pole Milan Powerledge. A best ever finish came in Catalonia about 6 weeks ago of 12. He's up to 9th, and as you said, the fastest man on track as well. Keep an eye on the number 4 there. He's right in amongst this, and he is up for the fight.
He certainly is. It's certainly the second time we've seen him in this championship this season. His appearances have been fleeting, of course. It was Oleg Pavelek who'd been doing much of the running for that team so far this season, and with him, of course, involved in that accident earlier on, he's going it alone for the team and for the family as Zurutuza continues to hang on. We'll keep an eye and track Almansa's sector times. In the first sector of this lap, he was no faster than the leading group, so maybe they're settling down, although just as I say that, we have a change of third position in this leading group. We'll see as they come out who that was. It was the 51 of Uriarte who got back through up the inside of Carpe, who pushes on to Van den Gorba closer than really anyone did this round last year over the 3 races we had. So he knows his way around here, and of course he's become a winner since then, so he'll be one to watch.
I tell you what, Uriarte, he's not shy at all, is he? On a couple of occasions, he has a big lunge, a big look up the inside, and more often than not, he gets it stuck as well. The latest of the late breakers is the 51 so far, as Max Martinez leads them across the line. The laps are ticking away quick here. We've only got 4 remaining, as every single member of the squad leans over the pit wall, all of them waving their riders on. I think they're trying the best, lads. As I see a bit of a bobble in the background there. Cruces makes a mistake out the first corner. He's lost his momentum through turn 1 and into turn 2 as well, and that's allowed. Is that, surely it's not, is it Almansa that's come through? No, it's the Cardoso
he's still
racing
at the back of the field. I mean, we've got 4 now that appear to have broken yet. It's Garcia on the 31 who's just picked his way through. He's almost ghosted through unnoticed, which is difficult given that his bike is very distinctive with the purple livery, but we've just noticed him coming through the field. Zurutuza trying to come back through now, but there's no way through there. That gap very much closes in your face. Martinez then leads with 3.5 laps to go. Now Martinez, of course, stood on the podium last time out at the Portimao round, only to be told once he'd come off there that he hadn't actually finished third because a photo finish had relegated him to 4th. He'll be looking to make sure that he does finish on the podium this time. And as we've mentioned, the championship is still very much alive in this class, and of course Milan's not going to score any points in this race, and we wouldn't imagine he'll score any later on either. So if he can get to the front of this race, and if Zurutuza gets beaten up, the championship can very quickly change.
Max Martinez has been one of the standout riders this year, 4th in the championship. He's failed to see the checkered flag, only on 1 occasion. Outside of that, in the other 5 races, he's never failed to finish outside of the top 5, and that lead at the front of this race is the biggest it's been so far. A couple of bike lengths advantage for Martinez as they come down the near kilometre-long back straight, though. Don't be surprised, especially if he has a big look over his shoulder like that. He is going to get swamped now, certainly by Zurutuza in second. Uriarte behind him as well. He's going the long way round, though, is Zurutuza. I tell you what, that's a brave move is to pull it off. I think he's got his nose in front, though. Yes, he has. Look at that from Zurutuza. Rolls around the outside of Martinez into the final corner, and he will lead them across the line. Willie just runs a little bit wide. An opportunity for Martinez to come alongside. Here we go, 3 laps remaining. Oh, this is so tough to call. They're going to be, what, 4 or 5 abreast into the opening corner? Not yet. They're saving that for the final lap. Martinez holds on after getting back in front of Zurutuza.
Yeah, now admittedly I'm the last person that these riders should be taking any advice from in a race like this, but looking behind you in a race like this is just not very smart. I can promise you, Maxi, they're still there. No matter how quick you can be over 1 lap, you're not going to break them in a race like this because there's just too many places on this circuit where the slipstream is just going to bring you straight back into contention. He looked like he had a little bit of a break, didn't he, going to the back straight? And by the time he hit the brakes for the final corner, Zurutuza was already up alongside him and past him. So that shows you how powerful that slipstream can be. Ferrandez was the fastest rider on track last time around. He was in the 201s. Unfortunately for Almansa, he's not making any ground towards his leading group. It looks as if that long lap penalty has cost him.
Interestingly, maybe Martinez there looking over his shoulder. Obviously, every lap he's come across the line, he's seen plus 0.0, plus 0.0, plus 0.0. He wanted to see who he's battling with here. As we've said, he's finished in the top 5 on 5 occasions this year. Most often with Zurutuza. He's battled with him before. By now, he knows what his his racecraft is all about, so he knows what he has to do to get the head of him. And as we're seeing here, we've got a little bit of a breakaway. The top 3 riders are clear at the moment. Martinez has just been shuffled back. No, he hasn't. It's a change for second place, sorry, with Cruces ahead of Zurutuza. But Martinez, Cruces and Zurutuza have got themselves a bit of an advantage here with 2.5 laps remaining.
Yeah, that break came because Garcia on the 31 basically gave Uriarte a taste of his own medicine and went straight up the inside of him and pushed him wide. And it cost the pair of them a little bit of time. And of course, it's enabled this leading trio to get a little bit of a gap. And that's a big gap with just 2 laps to go. As Garcia is about to get swallowed up by a couple of Cuna de Campeones bikes. Zurutuza back into the lead, just up ahead. But this is essentially with the situation as it is at the moment with Hugo Milan not in contention. These are the 3 leading riders on track in the championship. They're first, third and fourth respectively in the championship, who are going at it at the front.
I tell you what, if you ever wanted to know what feeling confident on a motorcycle looks like, that was it right there. The 85, who of course has won back-to-back races, looking for a hat-trick of wins on the rumble strip, on the outside, rolling around not 1 but 2 into maybe one of the fastest corners on the calendar at the end of the back straight of Aragon. Brilliant stuff from Zurutuza as he hits the front once more. And with the laps ticking away, as he said, just 2 remaining, I think it's coming down to this leading 3. But if they start to get amongst it, it's going to drag everyone else back into contention once more.
Well, the gap was 7/10 of a second back to that group behind them. But Ferrandez, who now leads the chase group, he set his first personal best first sector of the race, took 3/10 out of them in the first sector of this lap as they squabble amongst themselves. And look at that, it's closed up straight away. Although Ferrandez no longer leads it, because guess who's up the inside of him? It's Brian Uriarte again. Who's making a case to be the successor to dive bomb Darren Binder at the moment with some of the moves that he's putting on in this race. He now leads the second group, if you like, in 4th position. And they're not out of it by any means now. If they come onto the back straight, and particularly if Martinez starts getting up the inside of Zurutuza and slowing him up, he doesn't quite make it through. That gap's nothing again.
Yeah, it's the right in amongst it now. The leading 6 riders is going to come down to the final lap, and who's going to win? Well, you might as well just pick lottery numbers out and see who comes out first, because it is going to be full of action as we come out of the final chicane there on the penultimate time of asking. I tell you what, he gets some punch out of there, the Zurutuza. We've seen him on the 2 previous laps roll around the outside of people into the final corner. Roll reversal this time around. Zurutuza moves to the inside, forces Max Martinez a long way around. This is a good dress rehearsal, this. Who's bravest on the brakes into the final corner? It was Martinez this time. So, as we've seen from the previous 3 laps, you don't want to be leading out that final chicane.
No, it's very, very interesting, although it's very, very difficult to achieve that. Like, you want to, ideally, you want to come through turn 15 in 2nd place, don't you? But that's very, very difficult to achieve in a race like this. Cruces is now having a look at the inside. He's still in 3rd position, but Ferrandez is right behind him. Garcia on the 31 is still there. He's got Uriarte for company still. There's probably 6 of them who've got a chance at this. The gap to Carpe in 7th is probably too much to bridge on 1 lap, but these 6, it's anybody's guess. At the moment it's Martinez, but that could change any second.
Martinez chasing a debut victory in the European Talent Cup. Zurutuza behind, chasing a hat-trick of wins, with Cruces also looking for a first win of his career as well. It's going to come right down to the wire here. Half a lap remaining, with Martinez still leading the way. He's looking strong here as a 28, as has a big look over his shoulder once again. He's going to see the 85 and he's going to be concerned because he knows that Zurutuza is coming.
Yeah, what he saw when he looked over his left shoulder would not have surprised him. Xabi Zurutuza right behind him. And Zurutuza, I mean, whether it's by accident or design and brilliant tactics, Zurutuza is exactly where he wants to be at the moment. You want to be second at this point in the race. Although Cruces might well be about to change that as he has a look at the inside, and he is going to push him wide. In fact, he's going to go all the way to the lead, and Zurutuza does end up in 2nd.
Martinez goes from 1st to 3rd in the blink of an eye, and Cruces, what a move that was. So late on the brakes, but he got it stopped, and now he leads the way.
But has he gone too early? He's now going to move. Did he deliberately get out of the way there? I wonder whether he decided, you know what, I want to follow you, Zurutuza, through this turn 15 as they box up, they jockey around behind. It's down to 2, surely now at the front, and Cruces might well be in the perfect position.
Well, that lunge from Martinez has cost him victory, and it's cost the ones behind victory as well. The 2 Cuna de Campeones bikes it is. Zurutuza buried beneath the bubble. Has he got enough to hold on? Here comes Cruces, looks up the inside. Is he going to run wide? The front end bubbles for Zurutuza. It's going to be the drag to the flag between the 85 and the 10. Who's it going to be? They both go to the inside. Here comes Zurutuza. It's not enough. Cruces takes victory. His first in the European Talent Cup. What a race, with the final podium place going the way of Max Martinez. Oh, what a race. 9 laps. And I tell you what, we weren't able to take breath once.
No, a fascinating final lap. Cruces, well, whether he intended to or whether Zurutuza just went past him into turn 14, that was probably what won him the race, because Zurutuza ended up leading onto the back straight, which I don't think he would have wanted to do. Cruces was in the perfect position down into turn 16 to get up the inside. I wondered whether he'd just gone a little bit too wide on the way in, but he just about managed to get it back over to the left for the apex of turn 17, and by 300ths of a second got to the line first.
And you love to see that as well. The two Cuna de Campeones guys, a big fist pump. They're both celebrating. They've gone toe-to-toe there for 9 laps. Brilliant racing, but they're both absolutely thrilled with the result. Cruces, incidentally, closes up in the championship with that first victory. It's going to be yet another step to the podium for him. He's already been on the podium 3 times this year, now onto it for a 4th, but finally taking victory. And as I said, importantly, cutting that advantage from 17 points down to 12 with another race to come later on today. Another great ride from Zurutuza though. That's a 4th podium of the season for him, and what a run he's been on since finishing outside of the top 10 in his first ever European Talent Cup race. He's gone 6th, 3rd, 4th, 1st, 2nd. Brilliant consistency. The same can be said, of course, for Max Martinez, who will be jumping onto the podium in 3rd for only the 2nd time in his young career. I tell you what, these guys didn't have put on a show there. 9 laps, and it was frantic from start to finish. Brilliant action, and the good news is we get another 14-lap encounter later on today to round out our 5 races. Just mopping up who finished where further down then. Uriarte was the one to unfortunately miss out in 4th place. Only 76,000ths of a second adrift of the podium. Roberto Garcia taking 5th ahead of Ferrandes and Carpe. In the end, disappointment for Almanza. He was the one who was in the mix. He has the fastest lap of the race, but unfortunately that long lap penalty costing him coming across the line in 12th. Luckily, that's all the penalties out the way for the Spaniard. He can really go at it in the 14-lap race later on today. But here we are in Parc Fermé once again. 2 more Cuna de Campeones bikes. I tell you what, they're getting used to celebrating is that squad. This time, Cruces for the very first time, with Zurutuza there once more. And he can celebrate with some of the team members in Parc Fermé. The 14-year-old from Valencia, into his 3rd season now. A lot expected of him. He's had 4 podium finishes up to this point, but no victory just yet. Sorry, 5 podium finishes up to this point without that victory. But finally, he's ended the run. He stands on the top step of the podium. A brilliant ride from the 14-year-old. And Zurutuza will be happy with that as well as they start the debrief. You can see, yeah, Rubbins racing, lads. Look at that contact between the pair of them throughout a number of points in that race. And of course, I'm sure that both of them as well, being teammates to Hugo Milan, they'll have the number 44 in the forefront of their mind after that incident earlier on. They'll be wishing him all the best, as we do as well. AC10, he's done it at last. I think he has the Milan, Hugo Milan helmet in Parc Fermé with him, which is a lovely touch from the Cuna de Campeones squad there. It keeps the championship alive as well, 12 points separating. Here's how we won it then. Moving to the inside, diving through at the final corner on the final lap. Just a bit of a bobble there from Zurutuza, maybe just cost him. He was a little bit wide, Cruces. You thought maybe Zurutuza being the flyweight could have dragged him towards the flag, but Cruces, a wily old character, moving to the inside, making sure Cruces had to go the long way round. And that start-finish, fortunately for him, does come fairly early here at Aragon, and he was able to take it in the end by only 32,000ths of a second. So let's head down to Parc Fermé, and here for the first time after a debut win, Adrian Cruces. He's down there with Sudders.
There has been many overtakings. The last lap is incredible, and thanks for my team and my family.
some words in Spanish too, please.
Ha sido una carrera muy difícil, han habido muchos adelantamientos, la última vuelta ha sido increíble, pero quiero darle las gracias a mi familia y a mi equipo.
Congratulations, good luck in race 2.
Xabi Zurutuza started from pole position as the championship leader looked to extend his advantage here in Aragon, but it was the Finn, Rico Salmela, that got the whole shot, the flyweight diving to the front after a brilliant start from third on the grid. Zurutuza and Hugo Milan, the one that started second on the grid, settled in behind and quickly made their move on the Finn, both diving through at turns 4 and 5, with Milan having a bit of a moment there a few laps later at turn number 5. Then on the exit, high-sided spectacular with unfortunately a later collision with the Finn, the number 5 Oleg Powerledge. The red flags were forced out as a result. Medical attention, of course, been seen to Hugo Milan, and we wish him the very best in his recovery. A little bit of an oil spill which caused a delay, but eventually we got back underway with Salmela again making a brilliant start to hit the front on the opening lap at the second time of asking. 3 riders went down in a bit of a collision on the opening lap, before then 6 more went down in what was a crash-heavy opening lap of the race in this 9-lap restart. Salmela, having taken the whole shot, was quickly dropped backwards though, with Zurutuza the poleman hitting the front as those 6 riders went down there on the exit of turn 5. Martinez, Cruces, Uriarte and the 2 MT Foundation 77 machines of Ferrandes and Carpe were quickly in amongst it as well, in what was a 10-rider strong fight for victory. Only 9 laps and they didn't half tick away quick, with Martinez hitting the front and leading for the most part. Before on the final lap, this move here from Adrian Cruces, gaining 2 places into turn 12. We saw Martinez drop back to 3rd, he then lunged up the inside and made a bit of an error, making it just a 2-horse race into the final corner. Cruces versus Zurutuza. The pair were side by side on the exit of the final corner, with the number 10 holding on for a debut victory by just 32 thousandths of a second. Official confirmation of the result then, and it's Cruces that takes victory ahead of Zurutuza and Martinez. Some notable finishes there is Milan Powerledge, best ever finish for the pole, only a second away from the race winner as well, 9th for the pole. Further back, Rico Salmela the Finn, having taken the whole shot, eventually only a second adrift, takes the final spot inside the top 10, with Dodo Boggio having his best run of the year to finish 11th. David Almanza, after that long lap penalty, finished a lonely 12th. He'll be hoping for a little bit more in our second race of the day, with Morelli, Rulston and Alex Gourdon, the Frenchman, taking the final points. Further back, good to see Emmanuel Brinton, the only Brit in the field there, oh sorry, the second Brit in the field there, after crashing our opening running, able to get back and restart. Some valuable experience there in that fight for 22nd spot. Look at that, only 2 tenths separating those 4 riders. Corey Tinker, the second of the Brit, coming across the line in 26th spot. Those are the guys that crashed out on that opening lap. Collins, Pini, Sherrill, Perez, Alcina, 9 in total, all went down that crash-heavy opening lap. Trias, Christian Daniel Jr. and Esteban, the other of the riders, of course, Milan and Powerledge, unable to make the restart. So here we are, podium presentation then. 3 men that are used to the podium by now. Martinez, Cruces and Zurutuza. Martinez with that touch, that little tribute, the nod towards Luis Salom on the back of his levers there. He jumps onto the podium for only the 2nd time this year. It's yet another visit, a 4th for Xabi Zurutuza, and a debut victory at long last for Adrian Cruces.
So excited with the victory. Didn't even wait for the question down in part of FIM, but I think the viewers would have much rather heard from him than me, so we'll forgive him for that. But yeah, what a brilliant victory. And yeah, I'd be fascinated to know what his tactics were on that last lap, whether he deliberately just eased himself back into 2nd place into turn 14, or whether that was just simply the way the race panned out. But whatever, whether it was by intent or whether it was just by the way the race happened and circumstance, That proved crucial.
Well, it's a 9th different winner in 10 races after Zurutuza stopped the streak last time around. He was aiming for a hat-trick. Not a hat-trick for him, but a hat-trick for the Cuna de Campeones squad. 3 wins on the bounce for them as Cruces takes his P1 trophy here in Aragon. And along with it, a handy check for €200 as well. Be able to fill the tank on the drive back to Valencia this evening. And for the second time today, the Spanish national anthem will ring loud here. Victory at last for Adrian Cruces. 5 visits to the podium. Forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. Well, not anymore. He's finally able to take victory in the European Talent Cup. And unsurprisingly, with all of these riders under the age of 15, fizzy water all around to start the celebrations. Big swig for Zurutuza as well. A well-earned little bit of liquid, a little bit of fluid after what was fairly hard work over 9 laps. He still leads the championship then, 12 points now clear of Adrian Cruces, with Milan dropping to 28 points adrift. Martinez 28 adrift now as well, with Iriarte, Carpe, Ferrandez all within touching distance still, but they need to start making some inroads. 50 points adrift off 51, certainly for Carpe and Ferrandez, the teammates. With only 3 races remaining after our second encounter later on today. They do need to start chipping away at the likes of Zurutuza and Cruces. Which way will the pendulum swing? Well, we'll have to wait and see later on today. The second Hawkers European Talent Cup race, our final outing, that will get underway local time at 1 o'clock. So, in fact, no, it won't, because it's 1 o'clock now.
I was going to say, in any event, the delay to the proceedings that we've had courtesy of this European Talent Cup race will certainly push things out. As you can see, the Moto3 race that's up next will get underway at 1/2 the hour. And that will be followed by our second Moto2 race, where, of course, a title could be decided, and our second European Talent Cup race, where we will find out whether the floodgates have opened for Adrian Cruces after his victory in race 1. Can he back it up in race 2, or can Xabi Zurutuza regain the ascendancy? He will lead the championship into race 2, but race 1 was all about Cruces, who takes victory, his first in the class.